Hi everybody, it's me, Jordan here, and today I'm going to talk about, when you get pulled over for speeding. Now, to be honest with you, Jordan said, I'm kind of lucky in that area, that I've never gotten pulled over for speeding, but many people have. And it's usually a very embarrassing situation for anyone who's driving to be in. Because first off, as drivers, one of the rules or laws is to watch the speed. Well, I guess either it's a law or a rule. I'm not really sure, but any which way is to pay attention to the speed limit, see the speed limit sign, and make sure your speedometer is matching the speed limit. And as drivers, we usually have to glance at our speedometer while we're driving. Now, a lot of people either A, do not pay attention to the sign or do not pay attention to the speedometer, or there are some people who've been driving for a long time, so they know how fast they're going and they tend to ignore the instruments. Now, regardless of the case, it's embarrassing when you get pulled over, because most people know that getting pulled over is not for anything good. It never is. And I think the speed limit is a legal thing, because you can get a ticket for it. Now, since driving is a privilege, and since state governments govern and operate the driving privileges, and it may differ from state to state, but pretty much all states and all territories, their speed limits are all the same. So usually it goes down like this. You'll be driving, then you get pulled over. And the first thing you usually think when you get pulled over is how you're going to explain your speed limit. And usually it goes something like this. Need to see a license, proof of insurance, and registration. Well, okay. So then you end up giving your police officer your driver's license, proof of insurance, and vehicle registration, and while they're looking at all this stuff over, you start coming up with some explanation to why either A, you were driving under the speed limit, or B, you were driving over it. For most people, it's usually driving over it, never driving under it. Me, it would be driving under it. Now, a lot of people will say, oh, I never heard you could drive under it. Yeah, that's when you're driving slow. I'm not saying driving slow to a point where people can actually hit you in the back, but I'm saying driving slow enough where you're actually doing the actual speed limit. Well, look, Jordan says, I know the speed limit was 35, and that's why I was going like 33 to try to keep myself under the speed limit just in case something like this should happen. I didn't want to think that I actually did something wrong. No, you didn't do anything wrong. I was just thinking you were cruising, but really you weren't. No, because 33 isn't as bad as if I was going, let's say 20 or something, then you might make an argument that I was cruising and that could have been a hazard. Well, that's all I was making sure. Oh, you can go now. Thanks. Here's your license, proof of insurance, and registration back. Now, some people might say that one of the things that they might assume you're doing something wrong. Well, vigilant, of course. That may have been the only time I ever gotten pulled over, because some police officer thought I was that I was going slower than I was really going slower. I was really only going 33. One or two limits underneath the actual speed limit for that road. If I was going, let's say 10 miles, I don't know, maybe if I was going 10, if I was creeping, now there's a term for driving, creeping. If I was creeping along to the point where I was slow and backing everybody up, and someone could have hit me in the front, then that would have been an argument that I was in trouble. But usually, it's usually people who are usually going too fast, you know. That's usually the case with them. Sometimes it's usually something like, oh, their tail lights busted, or the license plate came undone, or something like that. Now, if you happen to, now for example, now different states have different laws on certain things. Now, if you happen to live in certain states where you're not required to have your automobile inspected, like Florida or California, for example, then you're okay. But if you get pulled over and they actually look at your automobile and they find something wrong, then you got to get it looked at. So you don't really save you that much. But getting pulled over is embarrassing. And any time you get pulled over, people tend to look and gawk at the person who got pulled over. It's like this, oh geez, look at that person. They're in trouble. Sometimes Jordan says, see, my car has a digital speedometer. And my car, and I got it in 2007. And I know there's going to be people saying, they didn't make digital speedometers in 2007 AD. Well, I do. So I can tell exactly how fast I'm going. So the speed radar gun reads out everything in digital form anyway. So it could be like, I know you were going 33. Yeah, I know I was going 33. My digital speedometer said 33, and your radar gun said 33. No, it wasn't being disrespectful or being smart or anything. I was just stating a fact. Yeah, well, you're the first car that has a digital speedometer, but, you know, there's people out there that still don't pay attention. You know it was 35. Yeah, I know it was 35, so I went 34, or at least 33, because I was afraid if I go over a 35, I'll go over it. And then next time, then you'd be pulling me over for telling me I was going too fast versus going too slow. So, yeah, that's about it, Jordan says. Hope you all enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all later.